September 2025 UK driving laws, shock, fuel prices, heavy fines and new toll charges exposed. Imagine waking up one morning, starting your car and realizing the rules of the road you thought you knew have completely changed overnight. Fuel stations now play by brand new rules. Toll roads you once drove for free suddenly cost a fortune, and hidden AI cameras are waiting to catch the smallest mistake. September 2025 isn't just another month for UK drivers, it's a turning point that could hit your wallet harder than ever before unless you know exactly what's changed and how to protect yourself. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today I have some extremely important updates for all drivers across the UK, and honestly, these changes are going to have an impact on millions of people. Whether you're someone who spends hours behind the wheel every single day, commuting to work, driving for a living as a delivery driver or taxi driver, or even if you just use your car for family trips and occasional errands, what's coming into force this September will affect you in some way. The government has announced a series of brand new driving laws and updates, and some of them are being described as shocking, controversial, and even unfair. Others, however, could actually save you money if you know about them and take advantage of the changes. What makes this news even more pressing is the fact that these laws are already active as of September 2025. So if you're not aware of what has changed, you could easily end up paying unnecessary charges, getting slapped with fines, or even losing points on your license without even realizing you broke the rules. That's why in this video I'm going to walk you through everything you need to know, break down the details in simple terms, and give you a sense of what these laws mean for your everyday life on the road. Let's begin with one of the biggest frustrations that drivers have had for years, and that's fuel pricing. If you've ever been in a situation where you've pulled into a petrol station only to realize that the price at the pump is ridiculously higher than another station just a couple of miles down the road, you'll understand why this new law is important. For too long, fuel companies and petrol stations have been able to change their prices with very little transparency. One station could charge 10 pence or even 15 pence more per liter than another, and unless you happen to drive past and see the sign, you wouldn't know until you were already committed. From September 2025, petrol stations are now legally required to display their prices in real time through a central government-approved platform. This means drivers will be able to check online or through apps exactly where the cheapest petrol or diesel is in their area. Imagine being able to plan your fill-up before leaving your house, knowing that you're heading straight to the most affordable option. This could save regular commuters and long-distance drivers hundreds of pounds over the course of a year. And here's the part that really makes this law significant. Petrol stations that fail to comply with the new transparency rules face fines of up to £5,000 per violation. That's not pocket change. So not only are drivers empowered with more information, but stations are under pressure to keep their prices competitive and to play fair. Many experts believe this will also help reduce the massive regional differences in fuel pricing that have long frustrated drivers, especially those living in rural areas where choices are limited and prices have been historically higher. This is one change that most people are welcoming with open arms. But while that may feel like a positive step, the next change is causing a lot more controversy. The government has tightened the rules around mobile phone usage while driving, and this is something every driver needs to be extremely careful about. Until now, the law has been clear that you cannot use your phone while driving unless it's fully hands-free. However, a loophole existed where drivers thought it was fine to pick up their phone to change a playlist, check a map, or even glance at notifications when the car was stationary at a red light or stuck in traffic. Many drivers argued that if the car wasn't moving, then technically they weren't driving. But the new September 2025 update slams that loophole shut. The law now states that any physical interaction with your phone, whether the car is moving, stopped in traffic, or even pulled over with the engine running, is illegal. That means if you're scrolling Spotify while waiting for the light to change, or if you quickly check your messages while stuck in a jam, you are breaking the law. The penalties are harsh. You could face an instant £250 fine and up to 6 penalty points on your license. For new drivers who have had their license for less than 2 years, that could mean an automatic ban. The government says this change is about keeping drivers fully focused on the road at all times, and they argue that even a few seconds of distraction can lead to accidents. Critics, however, say this is just another way to penalize drivers and collect more fines. Either way, the reality is that if you touch your phone while behind the wheel, you're putting yourself at serious risk of punishment. The advice is simple. Put your phone completely out of reach when you get into the car, use hands-free setups if you need navigation or music, and never assume that just because you're stationary, you're safe from the law. Now, let's talk about the law change that is being described as the toll road shocker. For decades, most UK roads have been free to use, with only a few exceptions like certain bridges or tunnels. But starting in September 2025, the government has introduced a new system that expands toll charges to more routes and introduces something called dynamic pricing. What does that mean? Well, it means that toll fees will vary depending on the time of day and how heavy the traffic is. During peak hours, the cost to use certain stretches of road could rise dramatically. Imagine paying nothing to use a motorway yesterday and then suddenly waking up today and discovering that your daily commute now costs £5 or £10 each way. Over a month, that adds up to hundreds. For long-distance drivers or families planning holidays, these charges could make road travel far more expensive. The official explanation is that the money collected will go directly toward maintaining the road network, reducing congestion, and improving infrastructure. But many drivers see it as nothing more than another hidden tax on motorists who already pay road tax, fuel duty, and expensive insurance premiums. Social media has exploded with outrage, with drivers calling it unfair and punishing those who have no choice but to rely on their cars. There are even reports of petitions and campaigns being organized to fight back against the toll expansion. Whether you agree with it or not, the fact remains. If you're planning a trip, you now need to double check whether your route includes one of these new toll zones. Otherwise, you could end up facing surprise costs that eat into your budget. As if tolls weren't enough, the next change adds another layer of financial pressure for many drivers, and it ties into the ongoing push for greener roads. Clean air zones, which began in London and a few other major cities, are now being rolled out to more towns and even smaller urban areas across the UK. These zones are designed to charge older, more polluting vehicles a daily fee for entering certain areas, with the goal of reducing emissions and improving air quality. Starting this September, more councils have been given the power to create their own low-emission charging zones, and the charges are not cheap. Drivers of older diesel and petrol vehicles could be hit with fees ranging from £8 to £12 per day, depending on the location. For people who live in or near these zones and need to drive in daily, this could quickly add up to hundreds of pounds every single month. While the government insists this is a necessary step to meet net zero targets and cut pollution levels, many drivers feel punished, especially those who cannot afford to simply upgrade to a newer, cleaner car or make the switch to electric. Small business owners, delivery drivers, and tradespeople who rely on vans are expected to be hit particularly hard. There are scrappage schemes and grants available in some areas to help people transition, but the funding is limited and the requirements are strict. This means many drivers will be left paying the charges, whether they like it or not. It's yet another example of how the cost of driving in the UK continues to rise, and many are calling it unsustainable. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to hit that like button so this information can reach more drivers who need to know about it.